Hey there, so today I'm going to show you how to create some pointy creature fingernails. You can use these as part of a costume for either a monster or a witch, and you can wear them out to a party as well. Hopefully get something from this and enjoy. So what you'll need to create these creature nails are some fake nails. These are just plastic ones I got off eBay. You get about 10 different sizes for about $3.95 with free shipping. You need some skin safe silicone, so I just have a bit of 3rd degree here, but if you don't have that you can use some Sculpt gel instead. You'll need some petroleum jelly. You'll need a mixture of sponges, so I've just got some upholstery foam and a stipple sponge. You'll need your alcohol activated paints, but what you're looking for in particular are some kind of dirty colors and maybe a green color, and then obviously the alcohol to activate those. You'll need a mixture of brushes, so I've just got a fan brush here, a medium brush, and then a fine detail brush. You'll need a sculpting tool or something with a point on it to be able to carve into the silicone. You need a pair of scissors that will be able to cut through those false nails. You'll need some double-sided tape, and if you don't have this you can just use the normal nail adhesive. You can get nail kits from a pharmacy that include the glue to stick false nails down, so either this stuff or the glue. You'll need some super glue to glue the nails together. You don't want to use this to stick it to your body. This is just to put the nails together. And then you'll need a little bit of sandpaper. So this is just some fine grade sandpaper. If you don't have this and you've got a fine grade nail file or something similar, that should do it. And that's it. What we want to do to start is just pour out that bag of nails or the packets of nails and work out exactly what size fits each nail. So you want to work out what the base size is to start with, and then grab the sizes smaller than that, so 2 more sizes smaller. So I've got 0 here, and the numbers increase as the sizes get smaller. So we'll start with a 0 and then grab one of the nails from the size 1 bag, and then one from the size 2 bag, and we can put the others to the side. And what we want to do is we want to actually stick these together like this. So we've got one long continuous nail, and what you normally do is the smaller nail you want to stick down on the outside of the larger nail, and I normally overlap them by about 4 millimeters or 5 millimeters, which I say would be about 1/4 of an inch or so. We want this overlap seam to actually be visible in the final nail. So it's kind of up to you what shape you want to cut these ends into. But to give you an example, here's a thumb that I created earlier. So I've gone in and cut this kind of triangular here because I wanted to create some creature fingernails. And I like the kind of organic nature of this diamond, or this sort of triangular point, that looks a little bit like a palm tree. But it's up to you. I mean, you could cut a half moon in there, or you could make it jagged if you wanted to make it look a little bit more rough. Just grab the scissors and then leave the first nail as it is. You don't need to touch that one. And normally with these false nails, the base is the curved end, and then the actual tip of the nail is the more square looking end. So what we want to do is we want to cut the base into a triangle. So that's what they'll look like when they're overlapped. And then just grab the super glue, a little dab of glue on the inside of that second nail, and then stick it to the top of the larger nail. And what I find easiest, because these are a little bit kind of fiddly and hard to hold on to, I normally press the nails down flat against my desk like this, and then just grab a sculpting tool or something kind of pointed and just put some pressure down on the inside of that nail, just so that the glue bonds to both nails, and just hold it there for as long as you can. Normally about a minute or so is fine. I've glued those together now, And then what you want to do is just glue down the final nail. Now those 3 nails I've stuck together. Once this stack of nails is dry, what I do next now is just grab a permanent marker, and you want to work out whereabouts to cut these into a point. So I don't want to cut down past my actual real nail underneath. So if you just stick it on top and put a dot in just above where your real nail ends, and then do the same on the opposite side, and then work out a center point at the very tip. But what you want to do is draw a line roughly from that point to the black mark that you've put down, and do that on both sides. And once you have that line marked out, you can go in with the scissors now and just cut along that line. I've cut along that line now, so I have a nice point on the nail. That marker line doesn't matter too much, but what I normally do now is just go in with a little bit of sandpaper and remove most of that line. And you want to go over the top of the nail as well, because we want to get rid of the shine and create a bit of kind of roughness and texture to the surface of the nail. That will help it go cloudy. It will help disguise the seams underneath, and it will also make it a hell of a lot easier to paint on top of. Once you've sanded the outside of the nail, what I normally do too is just, and this can be done quite roughly, is just run the sandpaper underneath as well. It's completely up to you what color you want to paint these nails. So I normally go for kind of a dark brown. I like something a little bit kind of dirty looking, and I'm going for more of a transition from sort of dark to light. So I'm going to make the paint very dark and solid at the tip of the nail, and then bring it back down here to my real nail bed in a little bit of a lighter shade. And you can be kind of messy with this too, which is great. Just like that. And then turn the nail over. And we just want to put a bit of a wash of color underneath. You don't want this to be too heavy, but obviously if these nails were real, there'd be some grime and dirt and things like that stuck underneath the nail, but we don't have to be too kind of precious about what it looks like. You just want to add a little bit of color in there. I'm happy with that color now, so I'll just put that to the side and let it dry. And what you want to do is create 5 of these, so 1 for every nail. That nail is dry now, or dry to the touch. And what I want to do is grab this bit of sandpaper here, or the nail file, and I want to go back in and just lightly run it over some of these edges, because what I want to do with these is I want to define that kind of triangular edge there. So just very gently go over those edges with the sandpaper. So it looks a little bit like a beak, but I kind of like the organic nature of this pattern here. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a palm tree. And if you wanted to, you could go in and actually clear coat these too. So you could go over the top with a bit of clear nail varnish or something similar, just to kind of make them look a little bit more shiny. Once you've created all 5 nails, grab a little bit of the double-sided tape, just a little rectangle about that size, just to stick in the middle of the nail bed. And I normally use this stuff just because these nails in particular are designed for female fingers, so they're a little bit kind of too curved for my nail bed. I now have a piece of double-sided tape stuck on every nail. And then you just want to go in and remove the backing off the top part. And then you want to go by one and stick the nails down. So that is them there. And if you wanted to, You could leave them exactly like this and then just go back in now and add a little bit of color around the fingertips if you wanted to. One thing that would add to this kind of these creature nails a little bit more would be to add a little bit of silicone, because I want to try and make these nails look as if they're bursting out of my skin. To create the torn skin around the outside of the nails, you want to mix up some skin safe silicone. So I've just got my 3rd degree here. And you don't need very much, but just enough to kind of cover the nail bed slightly. Now what you want to do is just mix this together. And once that silicone has been mixed up, so what you want to do is just pick up some of the silicone and begin adding it to the very edge of the nail bed. It can be rough to start with because we'll go back in with the sponges and the sculpting tool and just sort of refine it a little bit more. You can even drag a little bit up onto the nails as well, just to make it look like the skin has torn. And once you've applied silicone to the tips, I go back in now with a little bit of Vaseline and just begin smoothing out the edges here. Then grab the upholstery foam or the stipple sponge and just add a little bit of alcohol to it and go back in and dab over the top just to get rid of the shine and add a little bit more texture. Once you've applied silicone to the nail bed, what I normally do now is just go in with a little bit of Vaseline and this sculpting tool and actually go in and redefine the edge. You could also use a little bit of alcohol to do this too. But I'm intentionally lifting up some of that silicone because I want it to look like these nails have torn out of my skin, almost as if I've mutated into a creature of some kind. One other thing that adds to the effect too is if you just go in with the point and just drag it through that silicone and create some lines, almost as if the skin has split open. Just before that silicone has set, if you've got a bit of setting powder, just grab some of that. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but you can go in and just powder over the top of that silicone just to remove the shine just before it's about to dry. Once that silicone has dried, the final step is to go in with some alcohol activated paint and just paint the nail beds around the outside. I'm just going to go back in with this dark brown color here, and you just want to go in with kind of washes of brown. The idea being that you want that to sink in to the crevices of that silicone. And you can go back in with the sponge now and then just mop up any of the additional skin illustrator that is sitting on the outside. That's the nail tips painted there. What I might do just to add to the gore element is go in with my red skin illustrator and just create some sort of bleeding around the splits in the skin here, just to make it look like the nails have really burst through. If you didn't want to use skin illustrator, you could probably just go in and use some drying blood as well. But I'm just going to go in here and paint some blood into some of the splits in the skin. I've now gone in and added some blood in there, so it looks like the skin has split away from the nail. I'll zoom out a little bit so you can see. And the final step now is just to dirty up the rest of the hand so that it doesn't look too out of place. I've just gone in now with some prairie dust or some effects dust. You can get the Ben Nye brand, or I know that PPI or Premier products also make it as well. I've also added a little bit of red skin illustrator and blood in there just to make it look like the nails are bursting out from my body. And I've dragged the blood up the nail slightly as well just to add to the effect. But that's it there. They are my creature fingers, and you can definitely wear these out to a fancy dress party or Halloween party. And it's up to you as to whether you want to make your palms dirty or not. If you're going to eat food, then I would say probably just leave the inside of your hands clean and just dirty the outsides like this. But these are my creature nails. Thanks for watching.